Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. I was thinking a lot recently about what it might be like should the Pentagon or somebody from the secret control group or somebody like the President of the United States or finally just comes clean about the reality that there's an extraterrestrial presence here on Earth. And you fantasize like how these things might go down. Like for all we know, it will probably be something like to the effect of just somebody from the military stepping up to a podium and not giving much information, just acknowledging that there are apparent alien beings here on this planet. Where they're coming from, they have no idea, but there's no cause for alarm, and you should just move on with your life, and maybe provide some documentation about what they have learned. Like not a lot of documentation, just a little bit here and there. That's how I think it would probably happen if it is ever to happen. Like there's going to be a lot of questions that are going to come from the press and everything else, but I think if it really does happen, they're not going to give a lot of information, and I don't think they're going to be completely truthful about everything they know. Now, some of that would be understandable when you really think about it. For instance, anything that they would have learned with the reverse engineering, of recovered craft, recovered extraterrestrial craft, they're not going to share that. I'm certain of that. Why would they? I could understand that, but I think that they would probably, most certainly, try to sugarcoat it. When the time comes. I mean, it might become absolutely necessary at some point, and that's going to be. If that were to happen, like say if there's another, actually today, March 13th, happens to be the 26th anniversary of the Phoenix Lights incident that went down in Phoenix and in the Phoenix area back in 1997, of course, and. If something like that happens again, like a lot of people realize this, I talk about it a lot of other people. I hear other UFO researchers and people interested in this subject talking about it a lot, that if there is ever again a Phoenix Lights incident or something similar, that's going to be the end game because of the technology that we have now. There's just going to be when that incident happened, there were thousands. There was well over 1,000 people, witnesses to that, and of course there were not many good images that were captured of this. If it were to happen again, though, not only are there going to be pictures, some people are probably going to be live streaming incidents as they occur, and so it would make it necessary for somebody from the military, perhaps the Air Force, somebody, maybe even the secret control group, to finally step forward and announce their existence, that they've been in existence for a long time and that they have been studying this secretly and that they kept it like this. They could say when it finally does happen, they could say that there were good reasons to keep this a secret, and there are. You could say that there were good reasons, especially early on. And nowadays, I think we're beyond that. It's time to. I think people of the world, or most people anyway, are ready to accept that they could deal with this. They could handle it. Now, I believe that there are some people, definitely the opinions of people back in the 1950s, in the 40s and 50s, and probably 60s into the 70s, was that this is going to cause chaos. That people shouldn't know this because it might. Some people are going to freak out. There's no question about it. But at the same time, we need to get beyond this. We need to accept this reality. And when it does happen, if the disclosure, if a semi-hard disclosure were to finally happen, where somebody actually from Washington, from the secret control group, whether it's called Majestic 12 or whatever, were to step up to a podium and actually deliver the message that a lot of us have been waiting for a long time, it's going to be an amazing time. At the same time, there's going to be a lot of fear. There will be some people who are going to be scared. Now, I think a lot of us who believe in this already, who have had our own encounters, right? We're going to be like, well, yeah, like we told you, no big deal. I've been living with this for a long time. I understand that there's something here. I'm okay. And there's a lot of other people who are okay too. There's a lot of people who have researched this. a lot of UFO researchers who had never had an encounter with any extraterrestrial. I mean, you look throughout the years, people like Stanton Friedman, the late Stanton Friedman, he never had an encounter. He never saw anything extraterrestrial as far as he knew. But he still believed it because he did enough research to understand that there's something going on. I mean, there's all sorts of evidence. You know, you look at the physical trace evidence, the abduction evidence, the testimony of all these different witnesses. So there's a lot of people who research this and understand that there's something here, but it didn't drive them insane. Of course, I mean, there's going to be people who will not want to accept it. A lot of people, I would say, in the religious community, in certain religious communities, not the entire religious community. I think that there will be we've talked about this before numerous times on the podcast, that will have trouble accepting this, though, people who will want to believe that the human race is the only intelligent beings in the universe, the only intelligent beings that God created. There's going to be that kind of thing. But beyond that, I think most people, most religions, a lot of religions, maybe not all of them, but a lot of religions will accept it. And a lot of religious people will, they'll figure out a way to, accept it. And we're going to move on. After time, people get used to the idea, and it's not a big deal. It really isn't. I mean, it's out of our control. It's like anything that's out of our control. It's like weather. Weather's out of our control. We really can't control the weather. I mean, of course, some people could argue that, well, if we paid more attention to the climate and we took measures to address climate change, then maybe some of these hurricanes we've been getting wouldn't be as severe. I mean, okay, yeah, I get that, but for the most part, you can't control the weather. A tornado shows up, there's nothing you can do, right? It just shows up. An earthquake happens, what are you going to do? It's an earthquake. It's out of our control. And it's the same thing with extraterrestrials. It's beyond our control. And these beings, for whatever reason, they're keeping secret about it. I mean, in a way they're secretive, and in a way they're not. I mean, in a way they keep their distance. It's not like they're making any landing in a highly populated city and making an announcement or anything like that. But they do show themselves sometimes. Sometimes it seems like they want to show themselves. It's almost as though it feels sometimes that they're just letting their presence known, that they're trying to put on a show to get people, almost as though they're trying to get the world used to the idea that there are others out there and that they are looking at us and studying us. But yeah, there's most certainly something going on, and it'd be interesting to see what will happen should that day ever come when somebody who's been in the government or some government of the world, but I would say in the United States, I would believe that there's most certainly a major program that has been ongoing for over 75 years now, studying this secretly. And it would be interesting how they're going to handle it once they finally decide to come clean about it. So with that in mind, I put, using my imagination, I put something together in a pretend speech, a mock speech, basically. So this isn't real, right? Just so everyone's clear. But this is a mock speech. And this is if somebody from the government were to actually tell the truth. This is what the truth would actually sound like. Now, I do not believe that once disclosure comes, right, will sound anything like what I'm about to present here, right? But if they were to tell the truth, I mean, and here's another thing. I just keep in mind, some of the stuff that I put in here, it might not be exactly true because a lot of it, from my part, is speculation. But it's possible if they were to tell the absolute truth, it would sound something like this. Anyway, here's for your listening enjoyment. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today I am speaking publicly as a representative of the top secret unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP, control group for the United States government called Majestic 12, or MJ-12 for short. I am here to report that the suspicions held by millions of Americans, as well as millions more from other nations across the world, that extraterrestrial beings are present on Earth and possess technology that far exceeds anything developed by humankind is an absolute fact. MJ-12 was formed by an executive order signed by former President Harry S. Truman in 1947 after the recovery of an extraterrestrial craft that had crashed in the desert outside of Roswell, New Mexico. In addition to recovering the craft, military personnel also recovered the bodies of 3 deceased alien creatures, along with one still living alien being that died several months later, apparently from the results of injuries it incurred in the crash. Top military and scientific officials with top-secret security clearances briefed on the crash at the time felt it necessary to keep the reality of the extraterrestrial presence from the public for fear of the panic that information could cause. It was determined in those early years that, in order to maintain the national security of the United States, as well as from potentially causing a worldwide societal collapse, more information needed to be compiled about these interstellar visitors before breaking this news to the public. By the early 1960s, MJ-12 had recovered several other extraterrestrial flying discs that had crashed within the continental United States and along the U.S. and Mexico border. Additionally, several other extraterrestrial craft with occupants had crashed in other countries throughout the world by this point. Since the mid-1950s, secret UAP control groups similar to the one established in the United States have been operating in a majority of the world's countries. A deputation of representatives from the U.S. and other nations have for decades been sharing information related to UAP and the occupants who control the craft. A series of executive orders signed by Truman and his predecessor, President Dwight D. Eisenhower, placed most of the power with regard to the secret study of extraterrestrial craft and their occupants nearly totally under the purview of MJ-12. The 12-member Secret Control Panel was originally composed of mostly top Pentagon officials and scientists working for the U.S. government. Since the late 1950s, however, the makeup of the group has mostly been delegated to civilian scientists and bureaucrats who work for weapons manufacturers such as, among others, Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. By giving a majority of control to the military-industrial complex, it became easier for the Pentagon to lie about the reality of extraterrestrials because the study had fallen under the command of wealthy political donors. For decades, civilian scientists working for weapons manufacturers have been engaged in a reverse engineering program of recovered alien craft. The purpose of this work is to develop weapons that exceed anything thus far created by humankind by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. Recovered extraterrestrial craft use anti-gravity technology that allows them to travel at incredible speeds and fly rings around the fastest jet conceived by humankind. The biggest reason for the 76-year cover-up has been to complete the engineering project, which to date has not yet netted any satisfactory results. The secondary reason for the long-standing cover-up is because many scientists and top military officials from across the world believe the public is incapable of dealing with the extraterrestrial reality. These men and women have concluded that, while they possess the intelligence to review the issues posed by the alien invaders, mostly everyone else is devoid of the necessary intellect to function on a day-to-day basis if presented with the facts. In other words, these officials believe their craniums house brains superior to the minds functioning inside the skulls of all other human beings, whom they view as tantamount to moronic apes. The United States military, meanwhile, has mostly served as bodyguard to MJ-12. Militaries across the world serve in similar capacities for their respective UFO control groups. Throughout the years, militaries have furnished false information to the public with regard to the phenomenon. For instance, after certain large-scale UFO events like the 1997 Phoenix Lights incident, the military lied to the press and public about what more than 1,000 witnesses saw. Although it was in actuality a gigantic alien craft, U.S. Air Force officials, operating under the instructions of the unelected officials sitting on the MJ-12 panel, stated publicly that people only saw flares or fighter jets flying in formation. The military has also covered up UFO crash events, threatened some citizens to extraordinary UFO or alien events with death or imprisonment if they talk about their experiences publicly, and established a UFO and alien stigmatization program. The stigmatization program, which involved efforts to make witnesses to aliens and or their craft to appear as, among other things, lunatics, drunks, morons, drug addicts, and hoaxers, has been largely successful, mostly due to the news coverage of incompetent mainstream media outlets and phony proclamations issued by idiotic armchair UFO debunkers. Stigmatizing the phenomena proved to be a good persuader for many to stay quiet about what they experienced. As for the alien visitors, while UFO control groups of the world are aware of a multitude of different types, top secret scientific studies have not yet reached a full conclusion on why they are here. While it seems clear some of the aliens are here simply to study humans and other Earth life forms, others seem to be engaged in nefarious activities. The most prevalent alien species reported and recovered in crashes has been the so-called Greys. The second most reported type are popularly referred to as reptilians. These two species appear to be asexual beings that are apparently mass-produced by other extraterrestrial creatures via an unknown genetic engineering process. The creators of Greys and reptilians are the seldom-seen insect-like beings that look similar to praying mantises. The insectoid beings are using the others for menial labor, such as secretly abducting humans as part of an alien hybridization program. Research conducted in secret by scientists working for UFO control groups from across the world have reached agreement on the hypothesis posed by some civilian investigators, such as retired Temple University professor Dr. David M. Jacobs. They believe the insectoid aliens, over the course of an unknown period of time, have been in the process of creating alien-human hybrids for purposes unknown and sprinkling them into human society. These half-alien, half-human creatures, by all outward appearances, look just like human beings, but apparently possess the advanced abilities exhibited by the aliens. These abilities include, but are not limited to, telepathic communication, mind control, and enhanced learning function. While the world's secret control groups are aware that these alien hybrids are living among us, they have no way of identifying them or calculating their number. It has been suggested by some government scientists that the actions of the insectoid creatures seem to lean to a potential colonization of the planet. It is believed that behind the widely reported cattle mutilation phenomenon are the insectoid aliens. Cattle and other animal mutilations have been reported by the press since the late 1960s. The incidents involving the sudden death of farm animals by unknown and unseen forces are marked by the removal of certain body parts via laser technology and the complete draining of blood. Autopsies performed on the bodies of deceased insectoids recovered from UFO crashes revealed that the beings apparently live on blood. On rare events throughout the decades, the remains of some humans have been discovered that apparently suffered the same fate as alien mutilated animals. Additionally, it is believed some aliens are responsible for a large percentage of the people who mysteriously vanish across the world every year. Finally, because no government of the world has yet been able to successfully reproduce a craft that exhibits the high level of technology found in extraterrestrial craft, no human invention possesses the ability to match these alien beings in a conflict. Furthermore, it is unknown how deeply alien hybrids have infiltrated society or, more importantly, the highest levels of world governments. If these beings are, in fact, planning to take control of the planet, the human race by itself has absolutely no way to prevent it. Thanks for joining me here today. Have a nice day. So there you go. Now that's not real. So, it's just, what if somebody, I'm just putting that out there. This is what, if somebody from the secret control group were to finally come clean, if the decision was finally made and they decided, hey, you know what, let's just tell them the whole truth. The whole truth might sound something like this. Right? It actually might even sound worse than this. If they were to tell the absolute whole truth, it might sound actually worse than what I just presented. But it's just, again, it's a pure fantasy on my behalf, because I don't know if it's ever going to happen, at least in my lifetime. I hope it does. There's been promises that we're getting there, we're getting close. But again, recently we had some more grainy images that have been leaked to Jeremy Corbell, and again, like I said in the previous podcast, it's not good enough. That's not good enough. That's not, again, you're spinning your wheels with that kind of stuff. But again, it would be interesting to see if, I would love to see. I would put it this way: I would love to have something like what I just presented here happen. I would love to see somebody from this secret control group stepping up, and giving that truthful announcement. Again, I don't think that's how it would be. I think it would be much shorter than this. I don't think there would be a lot of I don't think we would receive all the facts should somebody decide to finally, end this. I don't think we're going to get all the facts, and again, I think it would be sugar-coated. But if they were to give us all the facts, it would sound something perhaps like what I presented there.